Oh, those West Virginia hills, how majestic and how grand, with their summits bathed in glory, like the Prince Emmanuel's land. Is it any wonder then that my heart with rapture fills, when I think of all my loved ones in those West Virginia hills? Oh, those hills, beautiful hills, how I love those West Virginia hills. If o'er sea or land I roam, still I think of happy home and my friends among those West Virginia hills.
Appalachia is a 200,000 square mile region that follows the Appalachian Mountains from southern New York to northern Mississippi. It includes all of West Virginia and parts of 12 other states. Tucked away in the southern corner of West Virginia is Mingo County, an area rich in natural resources and history, filled with faithful people who so often go overlooked. We will look at just one family and listen to a few of their stories of life here in southern West Virginia. West Virginia is also a state riddled with stereotypes and assumptions.
Ignorant, inbred, hillbilly, hick.
You can't stereotype us like they have. It's not like that. Like Sarah said, every place has their hicks, as you say.
Right.
But it's not like that. We are just as educated. We are just as dressed as everybody else. We have our teeth. We're not barefooted.
Well, they don't come for the right reasons. Most of your visitors, or most people you coming to see what you just named, the Hatfield-McCoy feud or something.
Right, right.
They're not interested in just me as a man or you as a man. They're coming to see Devil Anse Hatfield's monument or something. That's what I'm guilty of wanting to go to the Grand Canyon. See, that's what I'm getting at.
Right.
Stuff like that's what people go to see. They're not really interested in people.
We have to defend our state all the time. Yeah, we're from West Virginia. Yeah, we love our town. We love our state. We're not hicks, and if we are, it's okay. So,
you know, we might be ignorant and unlearned, folks, but I've been with Jesus. I have felt His touch, and I always hope I can maintain.
If you head south down US 119 from Charleston and hang a left at West Virginia Route 65, just before the Kentucky state line, you will find yourself right in the middle of the coal fields in a small town named Delbarton. It is there that we find this strong and faithful family that has seen some tough times, but remains stalwart in their resolve to love God and one another. This is Anita's husband, Scott. He is a union coal miner and has labored extensively for workers' rights with the United Mine Workers Association.
I've been here all my life. I was raised up on the hill there. My grandparents raised me, and I called them Mom and Dad. And I called my mother Mother. She was an unwed mother, and she worked all of her life in the restaurant down at town. You know, of course, it was Aunt Mary's when she worked with her, stayed with her. She'd come home on weekends, and then she bought the restaurant eventually, and she run it for years and years. Of course, it's tore down and gone now, and but my mom and Dad raised me, which is, like I said, my grandparents. I don't want to get confused with that because I confused people all throughout my school years. I'd always have a mommy and I'd have a mother, and people didn't understand that, but I did. And first introduced to church was my mommy, and she raised us up in the Rock House River Baptist Church. Many times she'd walk us up the tracks and over to the church, and I never will forget the first time I had an experience with God was in the 6th grade, just rowdy boys. We went to church, you know, it was fight night for us. We fought with the Martins, we fought with just whoever it was. If we didn't fight, our dogs did. And we'd go to church, and that's pretty well what we done. They had a time with me when I was younger, but I remember when I was in 6th grade, something happened. I was throwing spit wads and making fun of the pastor, this, that, and the other, but something got a hold of me. And I never will forget sneaking up to my mommy and said, "Mommy, I need to pray." And she said, "Son, that's what we'll do then." And we went up and prayed, and I was baptized in the 6th grade, and it seemed like that didn't do very good, because when I went to junior high, up to the 7th grade, I never darkened the church door again. I was just out on my own. I was raised, but Mommy still went, and we'd go occasionally, this, that, and the other, but nothing serious like we was when we was a little bit younger. And growed up, like I said, was fortunate. I graduated in 78, June the 5th, and I went to work June the 6th.
Wow.
And I worked at the same company for 24 years. I went from general laborer to heavy equipment operator, breaking down valley fields, cutting grade, and just running any piece of equipment they had, I could run it. And then they had a massive layoff and was having cutbacks and this, that, and the other. Finally, they went bankrupt, and they took all of my benefits, my medical card, took my retirement, and we fought with that. 1980, August the 1st. I was on a grease truck. Like I said, I worked my way up from general labor to that. That was my second job, grease truck. It was a morning, and I had to go put some oil in a dozer rear end, and my pump run out of oil, the 90 weight I was putting in it. So instead of putting it back in the pump, I was just going to get 2 5-gallon cans of oil and just pour it straight into the machine. So when I get up on the top of my truck, I grabbed 2 cans of the 90 weight oil, and I turned around to come off my truck. And, you know, I had my toolbox open and everything on the side of the truck. It was flatbed, and I slipped and fell, and I had a horrendous injury. Rushed me to the hospital, and of course, Mommy was one of the first ones there. And you know, it's funny how you think that you on top of the world. You're really not. I was a young man, 20-year-old, just married, flipping them 55-gallon drums of oil up on a flatbed truck like it was nothing, going out and spending my payday, living from payday to payday on my friends. Daddy always raised me to do what I said I was going to do, and that got me in a lot of trouble sometimes, because I'd say I do a lot of things, and I try my best to do it. And then, like I said, all the friends I worked with and people I worked with when I was in the hospital for that month, they even didn't come see me. It was my pastor, his wife, the chairman of the deacon board, Brother Ballard Dutton, his wife, my brother Roby, and Mommy. Like I said, she was one of the first ones over there to me, and they said, "Won't you come to church?" I said, "Well, I will." And you have to realize, like I said, I was a 20-year-old man, and we wrestled at work. Like I said, I done pretty good with it. I fended off 2 or 3 of them at many times, and had long hair down to my shoulder, and everybody said I'd make a good-looking girl. And I guess maybe I did. But I went with catheter in hand. I went back next Sunday, and sure enough, the Spirit of God stirred in my heart again. I sat beside of Mommy. And I said, "Mommy, I think I need to pray." She said, "You've been needing to pray for a long time, son." So we did. I never will forget it. Had my accident August the 1st, 1980. August the 31st, 1980, I renewed my life with God in tears. I never will forget. I was crying and snotting at the altar, and Brother Lewis, give me his handkerchief, and I just filled it up, and reached it back to me and said, nah, keep it. And that was on a Sunday. That was on a Sunday night. And Thursday night, we used to have prayer meeting on Thursday nights. And next Thursday, I was baptized with him, September the 4th. I was buried with him in baptism. And not only did I raised to walk in a newness of life, I had a new look within them 4 days. All my long hair was cut off. I was a clean-cut boy. And I thank God that he dealt with my heart again.
This is Anita, wife of Scott, mother of Brianne and Sarah, and daughter of Billy Broomfield.
I was born in Ohio, in Cleveland, Ohio. My dad worked up there, and he couldn't make a living with 6 kids, so we moved to North Carolina, which is from where my mother is from. He couldn't make a living there with 8 kids, so they ended up coming back here in the coal mines and in 71, and we've been here since 71. But my dad went to Birch High School, I went to Birch High School, my kids went to Birch High School. I will always be a Bulldog. I worked for 3 years at the Board of Education. I got married. I got out of school in 78, got married in 79, had Brianne in 81. I quit in 81. I stayed home for 22 years to take care of my kids, which I do not regret the first minute. I went back to work when they left me and went to school. So I've been working 3 years. I work at a little family-owned drugstore in Williamson, West Virginia. Passed my test. I'm a pharmacy tech. I've been there 3 years, and I don't know if I can stay home all the time now. It would be nice to try, but if Scott should ever get another good job, I'll think about it. But no, I don't think I could stay home all the time now. But I had to do something because I couldn't. My whole life with my kids was take care of the house, take care of Scott, take care of my kids, go with my kids. I went every time that I could go. So, and like I said, I don't regret that the first second.
My name is Sarah Irwin, and I have always lived in this house for my whole 21 years of life. I am a senior at West Virginia University, and I'm in my 2nd year of occupational therapy school there. I'm trying to get a master's in occupational therapy, which, if nothing happened, Lord willing, will happen by May 2008. And this is my home, and I love it.
My name is Billy Broomfield. I was born and raised right over there, that White House, on this holler. I grew up around here. My mother and them took me to church when I was little. We didn't have no Sunday schools because we don't believe in them. We think they're a man. You want all this on there?
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, definitely.
We think they're a man-made proposition because there's no authority in the Bible for them. Okay. I grew up, went to high school. I graduated from high school. Went to Cleveland, Ohio. Went to work for General Motors after I graduated. I got drafted into Army in 1957. I went to 101st Airborne Division to jump out of planes. I got discharged in 59. Me and my wife got married in 59. Me and her got married in February the 1st in 59, and I got discharged in August of 59. I can remember. One night about a little after that, I was laying in the bed and I couldn't go to sleep because my conscience was bothering me. I've been very mean. I'm not going to put all that on there, but been very mean. All that goes with drinking and gambling, all of that life. Anyway, I got to that particular night. I couldn't sleep, and my wife asked me. She said something, but I told her, I said, yeah, I know what's wrong with me. But anyway, I wallered that off and went to sleep. Well, I think if I remember this correctly, 2 or 3 nights later, evenings later, I was in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I seen the awfulest fellow I ever seen in my life, and it was me. Again, my conscience, the spirit, the soul, or whatever it is that bothers you. Well, I wrestled that off. Anyway, they had a revival at this church, what they call a revival. And that night, they had what they call an altar call. Anyway, I went up front, and somewhere within my mind, or somewhere within me, something said, just turn it all over to Him. And my life has been different. I become a praying and become a begging man that night. And that was in October of 1963. I believe, if I'm not badly mistaken, on a Wednesday night. So, and it's been that same feeling has been with me ever since.
Someone's always leaving here. It's just that kind of place. It's just that kind of world today. You learn to live with loss.
When in your life have you felt closest to God?
I knew within my heart that Sarah was going to be okay. But and for some reason, as humans, you have to have a doctor tell you everything's okay.
Right.
But when the day, October 29th, when they told us, when they called and said, we're in remission, it seemed like that your prayers were answered. I mean, and there's been other times, but that's the one that stands out the most. She was getting ready to, in her sophomore year in high school, busy cheerleading, gymnastics. So she called from school on that Wednesday, and I'd already made my mind if it got on her pants one more time, I was taking her to the doctor. Okay, well, never dreaming anything was wrong. I said, Sarah, we're going to the doctor. Okay, we go to Dr. San Diego, which is her pediatrician at that time. She was 16. She didn't sound right to her. So she decided to do a blood test. She never had her blood tested, never had none of that. And her blood count was... the white blood count was 7, and it's supposed to be 12. So she knew right then something was wrong. So when she telling us she has tears in her eyes that something is not right. So she happened to call Dr. Pendleton, which is in Huntington, at Cabell Huntington, and this so happens Melissa, his nurse, was there for us to be there at 12 the next day. So we were there way early. They started running tests as soon as we got there. Never dreaming, we see this little boy with no hair, with a hat on, in a wheelchair, going into the same room that we're in. The nurse is standing there, and he comes in finally and says, what it may be leukemia. You know, you don't say that. I don't even know what leukemia is. Mm-hmm. So, okay, he goes back out. We're going to run some more tests. So the bone marrow was the deciding factor. So at 10 till 6 that evening, he finally came in there on May 24th and told us it was acute myeloid leukemia. Do we have any questions?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Right.
It's bad. We understood that part. Well, first thing I want to do when they finally tell us that is call Scott. He had worked like 16 hours and been up since 3 o'clock that morning, and me trying to explain to him what I don't even understand.
I cried for 2 weeks when they told me my daughter had AML, acute myeloid leukemia. I couldn't speak. I never will forget when they called back. It was on a Thursday. I don't know. Nita can give you the date stuff she wrote down. And I said, no, I'm just going to go in church. I'll be up later. Then my brother Robert said, no, we're going. And Anita took the role of staying with Sarah. And we was in the Bible study. And we was talking about Daniel. He done what he was accustomed to do. He went 3 times a day and prayed, as Solomon told him to do when he erected the temple. Said, if you're carried away, turn your face to this place and pray that God will deliver you. So I continued to work. Like I said, about 2 weeks I really couldn't hardly work or anything, but I continued to work, done my functions. And as I met people, I said, pray. pray for my daughter. And I told everybody, pray for my daughter. Every time I was in church, pray for my daughter. Went to the academy, the LMPCP, the Labor Management Positive Change Program, joint industrial trainings. And I met people in Canada. I met people from overseas, Germany, California, the Navajo Nation, the reservations, and they all was praying. And, that enlightened me, brother. I understood that, I couldn't cry out unto God, and I couldn't feel His comfort. I couldn't feel His hand upon me, but other people was. We just had people praying, and they had Sarah isolated, and I don't know how this happened, but I was sitting in there waiting for needing them to come get me, and there's an old man, an old woman. I never even spoke to them. They said, "You need prayer, don't you?" I said, "Yes, I do." And I told them. They said, "Well, let's go back and pray with her." They can't go back there. I didn't think nothing about it, but they did. And they did, and that old man, old woman prayed a prayer that it seemed like just heaven came down. And I never met them again. I don't know if they was angels of God or if they was something else, whatever, but I never did see them again. And the doctors and nurses, man, they took a fit, said, "Why did you bring these people back here?" I said, "Because they wanted to pray."
She was in the hospital almost 5 months total, with maybe a week here and a week off. But from May 24th to October 29th, her last chemo was in that September, and officially October 29th, she's was in remission, and she's been in remission 5 years and 2 months.
In these last 5 years, what is it? Can you think of a time where you felt closest to God?
Like the day that we found out, October 29th, 2001, I felt pretty close to him because they had called Brian's cell phone and told her, it's clear, there's no cancer there. And I don't think it sunk in for Mom and Brian really good because we were dropping her off at the dorm, and I said, "Guys," I said, "it's done." I was like, "I'm healed." I was like, "It's not there anymore." And so that was, I knew He touched me then. He touched me throughout the whole thing, but I really felt close to Him then because I'm like, hey, He brought me through this, and now there's no cancer, and there's no turning back. I mean, yeah, I think about it every day. I think about, there's a possibility that it will come back, because there is. But I mean, if so, then there's going to be a reason for that, and He's going to, like Dad was saying earlier, His will be done. If it's His will that I make it till tomorrow, then that's what it'll be, and if it's not, then we'll just take it from there.
During Sarah's illness, Scott and Anita both were enlightened to the freedom, openness, and unity that can be found in Christ through the power of the Holy Spirit.
Sarah is a miracle of God. She's in her 5th year remission, and the doctor says that's good. And I hope it don't never come upon her again. And even the Sardis Church, I don't know if you know my history or not, but my wife is a member of the Sardis Old Regular, and I'm a member of Rock House Free Will Baptist. And she was converted around the Willie Daughtery's preaching at my church. I never will forget that night either. I was down praying, we was having revival, and I was saying, "Lord, save my wife. Save my wife." Brother come up and lifted him up. He said, "She's praying." And I just rejoiced.
And they were having a revival in October, and I went with him. And like I said, when I hadn't been anywhere else, not really. No, I hadn't, because I went to Sardis or Regular Baptist, and he was preaching, and it just felt like that it was something I needed to do. So. And we had church at Sardis the next day, and that's where I felt like I should be. But I go with him, and he goes with me.
We go different ways, and we bring our kids up in different churches too. She take them one time, I take them next time. And a lot of folks said, "A house divided can't stand." Well, they misinterpret that scripture. We wasn't divided. We still bring up our children, and that's the reason I think that was a growth to me too, because I could see that I could worship with her, and she could worship with me.
Used to be a Regular Baptist only. Well, that's not the way it is.
I found out that there's other religion and other Christians in this world besides me. For a long time, I thought that the Rock House Free Will Baptist Church was the only church that's going to go to heaven, but I realized, as my pastor had taught us for years and years, I just guess it didn't set in, that the name over the door ain't going to get you no higher than you can jump. You got to be born again of the bought water and of the blood, and everyone that worketh righteous is going to be accepted with God.
My son-in-law, Scott, we talk about it, and he says, well, I said, well, now, I'm be truthful with you. There's no way that we can both be right. Can't believe. Now, we can both be wrong. See, that's another thing you have to look at. We can all be wrong, but the Bible's always right. And when you can talk to people reasonable and nobody gets mad and aggravated, which now I get a little upset sometimes. So we have people come like they call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses. And I tell them, I said, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. They don't know what I'm talking about. All they got is a handle. Well, that's what the old regular Baptist is. It's just a handle.
And I think that has been a great growth in this community because they realize the freedom that Christ gives us. You know, free will, free grace, free salvation. It's all a gift of God. Nothing that I can do, nothing that I've merit, nothing that I can do. And I think that this whole area in this community has grown in that perspective since this has happened, because I remember we used to have debates with the Church of Gods, we used to have debates with the United Baptists, we used to have debates with the regulars, but see, they can all come together for one cause. And I think that was a great enlightenment that's happened through this thing too.
While Sarah has been away at college, she has also been exposed to differing opinions on faith and has welcomed the opportunity to talk with others about her beliefs.
I have a friend in OT school who is Jewish, and she's a very interesting character. I love her to death. And I've talked to more of my Catholic friends about their religion than I have her, but I also have some Catholic friends in occupational therapy school and in Colleges Against Cancer that I'm also a part of. And it amazes me that we can sit down and have conversations about our faith without getting all upset, because I never really had to deal with that here.
So you got to befriend people. To have friends, you got to show yourself friendly. And when you're controversial, you ain't gonna win nobody being controversial. You got to love them. You got to love them. And like I said, I learned that. And that's what Jesus did too. You know, when you start reading his stories, he didn't go in there and start bashing people when he went into the public's house. He would sit down, he would eat with them. And then when they start criticizing him, if you had known, Lord, what type of woman she was, you wouldn't let her do this to you. He said, hey, I come in your house. He said, you didn't kiss me. You didn't offer me nothing to wash my feet with. And yet this woman with her tears had washed my feet and dried them with her hair and continues to kiss me. He that oweth little, loveth little. But he that oweth lot, oweth lot. And that's what I've learned. Like I said, it wasn't that I wasn't exposed to that teaching. It just I didn't realize it. I had to come to it myself. Like I said, been sat down a many times and felt bad over it, but I still rejoice in the Lord.
I talked with a friend that I know is a homosexual, and he still struggles with whether it's wrong or not. And we were walking to a place one day, and I was just, I was like, I'm just curious, because he says that he's Christian and that he believes in God and that he was raised in church. So I was just like, how do you handle that? And he was just telling me different things and just saying that he still struggled with it, and he didn't know if it was wrong because it really was wrong or because the public perceived it as being wrong. And I said, well, what about in the Bible how it tells us? And he goes, and he was just explaining me to his different beliefs, and I was just like, wow. It didn't make me change my beliefs, and it didn't make him change his beliefs, but we were able to have a civil conversation about it. And I just think that that's a very important thing, because so many people are just like, you're going to hell, you're homosexual, that's it, you're going to hell. It was just interesting to get to have a conversation with him and see where he was coming from, and I was just like, okay. And I was like, well, thank you for sharing that with me. And I was just like, I may not agree with you, because I don't, but I was just like, thank you for sharing that with me. And that was just a neat thing. That's a neat thing that college has brought into play here.
So I come to this conclusion. I have to go for myself. I have to see my Creator for myself. And I'm responsible for what I tell you. I have I think, born of God with a love for everybody.
Well, first of all, it's the Lord's Supper. It's not ours, and we have an open table. If you feel that God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you your sins, and after we've tarried with one another and you think that you are subject to the communion, you are more than welcome to take part in our communion. And what we do, we set a table of 12. And we put the Bible down there for Christ's presence. And we will serve the communion until the table is broken. And when there's not 12 that come, when the table is broken, when the number is 1 or 2 or 6 or 7 or 10, we will not serve it no more. And then after we do the communion and drinking of the wine as we bless it is the blood of Christ and the body of Christ, then we have foot washing. And the ladies will go to their little room, we'll go to our little room, we'll have foot washing. And Brother Lewis has always said it as an open table. And some places practice what they call closed communions, just for their members and their sect and their thing. But all the years I've been up there, 1980, this is 2007, so what is that? 27 years. God has blessed us to do that.
Well, God is God wherever that you are.
Well, on a good day, you can see very far. Just drive up high and get out of your car. On 77 or 460, just look at the view, then look at me. Oh, the hills of West Virginia are green and lush, and I go to hear the music. One small mountain after another.
But I want to go to heaven when it's all said and done. And the only way I can get there, even with all that, is by the grace of God. You can't work your way in. You can't be good enough. You can't do enough. The Bible plainly teaches you can give us a body to be burned and sell all these goods and feed the poor and have not charity. It profits you nothing. And that's what I believe. It takes the love of God to get us there.
Go to hear the music. When I go to West Virginia, I don't say much. Years ago, my people owned mines in the Pocahontas coal field. Well, you might say
Through serving others, which of course that's what the Bible teaches us as well, is that we are to serve Christ by serving others. But just, even though I might not be directly affecting those people that I've helped, or that helped me,
Right.
in turn I'm helping somebody else by giving of myself, giving of my time, my energy. It's a good feeling. And I know that it's not supposed to be about us, but I think that by doing those things, God is being glorified, because where we go about it with the servant's heart.
now the strip land faces the sickness, the unemployment tell me too much, and all that happened all of those years was before my time. Oh, the hills of West Virginia are green and lush,
Christ is our hope. He came down to this road ground of sorrow, and he took upon himself a body of flesh, and he suffered for the sins of the whole world. Then he raised again, and he's done entered in behind that veil. Of course, as you know in the scripture, said the veil was rent from top to bottom, and he's made it accessible for me. And who am I to keep anyone out?
From West Virginia, by the coal transported by a ship from West Virginia. And on a good day, you can see very far. Just drive up high and get out of your car. On 77 or 460, just look at the view, then look at me. Look at the view, then look at me. Look at the view, then look at me.
Now there's many a mile that's come between us, for there's many days that I roam. But there's many a smile that always brings me back to my West Virginia home. Now the birds all sing before the sun starts rising, and the darkness will be overthrown by those memories that are always with me of the mountains of my West Virginia home. And the trees grow tall in West Virginia, and the rivers run wild and free. So let my mind take me back through time. West Virginia is the place I long to be. Now the fog lies low through all the valleys and makes this journey seem so slow. But the sun shines bright on the sides of the mountains, like the love I have for my West Virginia home. And the trees grow tall in West Virginia, and the rivers run wild and free. So let my mind take me back through time. West Virginia is the place I long to be.